All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Corzine. I want to go over some notes with you to solve linear systems by adding or subtracting. We've already talked about how we can graph. See if I can get this to work. How we can graph two equations on the coordinate plane, see where their intersection is, and find the solution that way. We've also learned how to use the substitution method. Now the last step is we're going to add and subtract, and sometimes that's a really easy, simple way to find your solution. So let's look at our first example. We're going to use addition to solve the system by elimination. Okay, I've got negative 3x minus y equals 8, and then I've got a 7x plus y equals negative 12. I just want to combine both of these. So it's like a giant addition problem. 8 plus a negative 12 is a negative 4. And then I've got a negative y and a positive y, and I want to combine those. What does that make? Well, that makes 0. And then I've got a negative 3x and a positive 7x. That makes 4x. So my new equation says 4x plus 0 equals negative 4. From this point, I should be able to tell, hey, 4x, let me see if I can change colors here. 4x plus 0, let me get rid of that. Let me divide by 4 on both sides. Once this cancels out, I realize, hey, x equals a negative 1. Okay, there's my solution to one of my variables. So if I'm finding my solution, it should look like an ordered pair. My x value should be negative 1. The other thing I still need to do is I need to pick one of these two equations and solve for y. So let's take this one right here. 7x plus y is equal to a negative 12. I go through my I go through the process of plugging in a negative 1 for x plus y equals a negative 12. So now I have negative 7 plus y equals negative 12. Well, if I add 7 on both sides, suddenly I have a solution. Y is equal to, and that should be a negative or a positive 7 there. So I get a negative 5. Here we go. For this linear system where negative 3x minus y equals 8 and 7x plus y equals negative 12, then my solution for my x and y values are x is negative 1, y is a negative 5. So let's move on to the next example. Sometimes we can use subtraction. It's the same deal, only now we're going to use a subtraction sign. This is where it gets a little tricky, so I'm going to write this down. Be careful. Okay? Be careful. As you subtract these and you run into negative numbers, you have to watch out and make sure that you're doing it correctly. First of all, 1 minus 4 makes a negative 3. Y minus y makes what? Well, it should make 0. That's why we're subtracting. And I look to see that these two are the same, so I'm going to subtract them. And then here I have x minus a negative 2x. If I'm subtracting a negative number, that's really like I'm adding them together. I'm adding a positive. So I end up with 3x plus 0 equals a negative 3. Well, now I'm pretty close. I can solve for x here. Let me change colors. This will cancel out. Now I divide by 3 on both sides. Cancels out. X, once again, equals a negative 1. Well, great. I go over here and I start filling in my solutions. I've got a negative 1 for x. And now I take that negative 1 and I'm going to plug it into another one of my equations. I'm going to pick this one right here. X plus y equals 1. Well, if I know that x is a negative 1, I'll do this. Negative 1 plus y equals 1. Now I add 1 on both sides, and I realize, oh, y equals 2. There's my solution. Want to go back and check? Great. Is a negative 1 plus a positive 2 equal to 1? Yep. Is a negative 1 times a negative 2 plus a positive 2, does that make 4? Yes, it does. It ends up being 2 plus 2, and that makes 4. So sometimes we can subtract to make this situation simpler. All right. There's another, well, it's not a different type of problem, but sometimes the arrangement of the equations is not real convenient. So what we have to do is we have to rearrange so that the terms are all in the same order. Here I've got a negative 8y plus 6x equals 36, but then in this bottom equation, the x term is first and then the y term is second. Well, why don't we just switch this around, okay? I'm going to rewrite both of these. I'll have a negative 8. Whoa, that didn't look very good. Let's try that again. I can erase it. Wonderful erasing. Okay, let's try that one more time. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Okay, a negative 8y plus 6x equals 36. I'm going to leave that one in that order. But then I'm going to take this term and move it over there. All I have to make sure and do is keep the negative sign in front of the y. So I've got a negative y plus 6x equals 15. Sorry about the numbers. My computer's being a little funky. All right. Change colors here. In this situation, I've got a positive 6x and another positive 6x. If I want to somehow cancel these out, I have to decide, am I going to add them together or am I going to subtract them? Since they're both positive, I'm going to subtract them because that's the only thing that will cancel them out. Okay, so I'm doing subtraction for this problem. Let's do 36, that's a 36, minus a 15. 36 minus 15 gives us 21. And 6x minus 6x gives us 0. Or I can just, just cancel that out. And then negative 8y minus a negative y. Really, I'm adding 1y, so I get a negative 7y. Please be careful as you do this, as you subtract. All right, so now my equation is, I'm going to bring this over here. I've got a negative 7y equals 21. I will divide by a negative 7 on both sides. And now I've got y equals a negative 3. That gets me started. I'm going to find a little spot up here. Y now, be careful, I just solved for y. Y is a negative 3. And now I can go in and I can plug in my negative 3 for y and solve for x in my equation. I'm going to stop right there because I think that's a good place for us. I think you should be able to proceed with your problems from here.